wide open up. When he shoot that jab, look for the right hand, because he's shooting right hand over the top. Continue to stay composed. Do not listen. Make sure you keep the left hand up higher. Left hand up higher. On my neck. Left hand up higher. Keep popping the jab and stepping over. Look for the hook. Look for the body shot. You gotta get busy. What round is it? What round is it?
What's that?
What round is it?
I can't hear you.
What round is it?
10, coming up.
Listen.
You good?
Good. Listen. Start. Your position up there, right? Start shooting. Look for the body shot. Shoot the shot over. Double the jab and make a dip to the right hand. I need you to keep stepping up to the right. Now, I'm trying to do it. Keep composing the distance like you're doing.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga doing? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to BodyWork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to BodyWork Boxing. Man, I never thought I would be the one to feel like he has to come out and be the voice of reason about one Ryan Garcia. And it's probably gonna be one of the first times, maybe, I'm not sure how often this will happen, but this is the first time in a long time where I was just like, you know, when it comes to Ryan and the performance and all the backlash, I gotta step in and say something about this, man. I'm, as a boxing fan and a content creator, and you know, me, you know, coining myself as the pulse of boxing, I'm really confused because I'm really trying to get a pulse on the boxing fan. Now, I know a long time ago I did a video and I said that hardcore boxing fans is on life support. I already know that when it comes down to the hardcores, there's not many of us left. Every time I take a step forward, I look to my left, I look to my right, one of us, another one bites the dust. You know what I'm saying? How does that happen? That happens by the things that we say. That happens by the flip-flopping that we do. And, you know, the overall consensus of how we see boxing. You know, and, you know, if this is your first time coming to the channel, understand that this is the alternative to opinion-based content. This is fact-based. Yeah, so this is the alternative, and I want to break down something that a lot of people may not be seeing. Right now, Ryan Garcia, what's really happening with Ryan Garcia and how people are coming down on him is really a stray for shots fired at coach, trainer Derrick James. You know, I'm not sure how, you know, one of America's most beloved coaches, you know what I'm saying? Right before the Spence fight, he was one of America's most beloved coaches. And right after the Spence fight, everybody's been having something to say. I've always applauded Derrick James for never stepping his foot inside of the business. He always said, hey, look, man, it's not my job. When that contract come across, even when they asked him to fight, he said, look, I want what my fighter wants. If that's who he wants, that's what he always kept things close to the vest when he needed to. But he always shared his boxing mind. And I can't believe that, you know, ever since, and it's a clear pattern. It's a lot of people that's like dry hating and figuring out ways to take a shot at Derrick James. I'm not understanding. It's almost like we love to build people up till they get to a certain point just so we can tear them down. You know, and that might sound cliche when it comes to, you know, YouTube boxing talk, but that's really what's happening. You know, this is really just like a lot of the hate that AJ receives, especially when anything about Wilder comes up, you know, it's because of Derrick James. You know what I'm saying? Derrick James takes, you know, all of the things that's going on and how people criticize AJ, you know, rebounding back from the Ruiz loss. You know, he came back, he fought Jermaine Franklin under Derrick James, and then he came back and he fought Helenius. You know, and I pointed this out. I said the Devin Haney method, because I said, man, it's crazy how everybody was saying, and yeah, granted, it's heavyweight, but I called it the Devin Haney method, the method in which Anthony Joshua was able to beat Jermaine Franklin. You know, and I said that I thought that it was kind of overcritical, especially with AJ in the tutelage that he was getting up under Derrick James for the first time. Whole new style, being around some young lions, being away from home, outside of his comfort zone, in there with some dogs. Because you got to think, Derrick James, contrary to what people want to say, he has one of the best stables in the game. But I thought after that Jermaine Franklin fight, a lot of people were being really overcritical. How come AJ didn't get the knockout? And this and that. I'm just like, okay, remember this when Devin Haney fight. Because this is the Devin Haney method. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he could have probably did more, but he knew he was winning the boxing match. And then, when he comes back, he's like, oh, man, I just don't believe, man. I can't see no difference what Derrick James doing with him. Then he come back and everybody was complaining. The commentary that day, when AJ fought Helenius, it was horrible. Up until the point in time, they were riding AJ the whole fight up until the point in time he went ahead and sparked that man. And then it still was like, well, yeah, it just took too long. And me, that's what bothers me as a fan, right? I'm going to tie this all in. I look at a performance like what Shakur Stevenson had. Arguably, yes, De Los Santos is probably on another level than Duarte, but Duarte has a style, a definite style. He's a hard puncher. He's very opportunistic. May not be that coordinated, you know what I'm saying? But I'll put it almost like the test that Tank had with Pitbull that time. Hard, come forward puncher, you know what I'm saying? If you got both of your hands, you got some athleticism, and you can box, you probably can give him trouble. But I think coming back off of an injury, a rib injury, a knockout loss, stoppage loss, where everybody said that he quit. That's when he actually had to get back up on his feet. He had to go back into training camp. He had to, retool on some things, and he had to go back to the drawing board. And I find it funny that people take a lot of that. They took a lot of aim saying that, oh man, is Oscar trying to set him up? Is Oscar trying to set Ryan up by putting him in there with a guy like Duarte? It was all this, a guy like Duarte, and all that, oh man, he's a vicious body puncher. Even the commentator was talking about how much body work. I look back, and Duarte do some body work. You know what I'm saying? He didn't respect Ryan Garcia. He said that they call him Queen because he was saying that, over in Mexico, they don't look at Ryan the same way. It was all this build up only for everybody to discount Duarte, not consider that that Ryan has bounced back from a knockout loss to Tank, the most accurate power puncher in the game. You know what I'm saying? Devastating puncher, can end it at any point in time, upstairs, downstairs, single shot with either hand. He rebounded from that. He deals with Oscar, he deals with Bernard. I think it's some bittersweet, some love-hate, just like any other promoter and fighter type things. Same shenanigans that happen with all of them. He dealt with some of that, but he was able to come back and show some resiliency. And when I look at the Shakur fight, a lot of people say that he was too defensive, that he ran too much, that it was a snooze fest. It was this, it was that. No, if it's levels above and this and that, because Shakur Stevenson, he had been saying a lot of strong statements. He been coming out saying a lot of strong statements, saying, and I'm a Shakur fan. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, everybody know that I rock with Tank. You know what I'm saying? I got Tank over all of them. But when I break down fighters, I'm not a Tank only fan. You know what I'm saying? This is not a boxing monogamous channel. But when I look at Shakur, when I look at the vein of being a supporter and the guy that want to see him succeed, and I look at that performance that he had against Edwin De Los Santos, everybody cried. Everybody's still crying about it. You know what I'm saying? I think they cried more than De Los Santos. I think that fight should be ran back so we can get a real closure to that, because that fight could have been scored a draw. It could have been. You know what I'm saying? I did edge it to Shakur. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't by much, and it was really on the scoring criteria and how you actually looked and what you took away and what your eyeballs actually seen. Not what Tim Bradley was saying, during that fight. But I checked the pulse of the boxing fans after that fight, and I said, oh, okay, so they're going to ride Shakur all hard based on that performance. That's all it's been. Anytime Shakur, oh man, he talked too much for this and this and that. Then the heat was on Ryan. So Ryan comes through, he does this awkward, shoulder roll and this, a natural reflex. He reverts back to his old ways. I heard Derrick James in the corner giving all of the good, he was saying all of the right things. He was telling this man what to do. He was telling him to preserve his distance. He was saying, you know, keep that jab, fight off the jab. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was giving a lot of good tutelage. And I saw remnants of when Jermell Charlo, mainly that first Castano fight, where Derrick James was giving all the good counsel. He was giving all the good counsel to Jermell, and Jermell just had it in his mind that he wanted to fight a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Derrick James kept telling him, look, do not live on the ropes. This guy is feast or famine, and when it's feast when he gets you on them ropes, that's when he's more opportunistic. Do not stand there. If you feel those ropes, pivot out, go to the body, bring it back upstairs, but stay off the ropes. Jermell Charlo wanted to fight his own fight. Granted, he got a draw in that one. When I look at the Errol Spence fight, everybody was trying to knock Derrick James for the Errol Spence fight, and it was clear that Errol Spence just wasn't himself going into that. We can say whatever we want, but clearly, people that was watching the fight in my residence was saying, hey man, Derrick James was actually telling him, he was like, you know what I'm saying, like, make him feel you. Derrick James was telling him, like, no, he was giving him, like, look, man, look, stay back, like, look, do what you're trying to do. He was really talking to him. You know what I'm saying? He was talking to that man. People still chose to point the crosshairs at Derrick James. You know what I'm saying? Just like with the AJ, again, when it comes down to any potential fight, especially when it comes up to Wilder, it just gets toxic. And I think that a lot of people are using Ryan Garcia right now for target practice for ill will that they have towards Derrick James. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you go from sugar to, you know, in such a short period of time with the kind of stable that you have and the perception of everything. Now I'm hearing that Ryan ain't this and that. It's like Ryan figured something out in that ring. He said, all right, let me get on my bike for a little while. You know what I'm saying? Let me gather myself. A couple of them body shots, we don't know. He might have trauma from body shots. We don't know. He was hurt in sparring, allegedly, right? Then Tank, he knocked him down, and then Tank wound up stopping him to the body. Maybe he had reservations about the body. Everybody know what doing that body work is all about, so maybe he had reservations. He said, let me get on my bike. Let me move this way. Let me circle this way. Let me circle that way. All right, okay, cool. There go my jab. All right, okay, there go my uppercut. Okay, there go my hook. All right, let me move up. He not looking. Let me check off of that. Check hooked him, you know what I'm saying, off into the ropes. He showed a couple different styles, and I think naturally he reverted to that awkward Philly shell. It's a lot of film. It's something that he's going to have to go back and say, look, man, how can we prevent this? And there's ways to get him in position so that muscle memory, because it's something he's going to have to practice. It's something he's going to have to actually believe in. But you would actually see the wheels spinning and turning with Ryan Garcia as he slowly started to incorporate what Derrick James was telling him in that fight. And what did he do? He made the adjustment, cracked him with that bullwhip of a left hook, and bowed, delayed reaction, the fight's over. And he's still getting, you know what I'm saying, crapped on, right? So people were saying, oh man, is Ryan damaged goods after Tank? Ryan isn't damaged goods. You know, and if you look at the path in which he's taking, he's not standing at the top of the mountaintop saying he's the best. He's saying, no, I'm grooming myself on my way to become a world champion. Is he making money? You know what I'm saying? Could he be milking some money on the way? Maybe, possibly. I mean, if he was able to get that payday with Tank and use, you know, maximize his fan base to be able to get these, and he is an attraction that everybody want to fight, you know what I'm saying? Why not? But I think that he is a lot more humble, and I like this version. Ever since he came back, this version is kind of growing. I didn't like some of the pre-fight stuff with Tank, you know, some of the things that was said, and you know, some of the things that was talked about as far as the weight and the rehydration and things, everything that he agreed to get that big bag that everybody's coveted. I didn't like all of that because you signed the contract, so it should have been, that was on the contract, you signed it, you're going to get your check, and you know what I'm saying, you're rich now. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't like that, but the new Ryan I actually like. And I think that people are giving him a hard time because of his affiliation with Derrick James. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the affiliation that Shakur Stevenson has with Bud. A lot of people just take him because they don't like Bud. They aim a lot of that stuff at Shakur. It's a lot of tribalism and a lot of fandom. I'm starting to see that certain people rock with certain people, and they're the same kind of fighters. A lot of the Devin only fans are Bud only fans. They're one and the same. Extremists down to a level that it just doesn't make sense. But when you use those two in the same example, you can kill any kind of narrative, any kind of shifting that they do, because that's easy work. You know what I'm saying? That's very easy work. But let me make this all make sense. I look back at the Hector Garcia fight with Lamont Roach. people were saying, oh man, he's damaged goods, he's this and this and that. And they actually judged that fight to the point to where it was actually said that if Lamont Roach didn't get that knockdown, he wouldn't have won that fight. I don't agree with it. I had Lamont Roach, even without the knockdown, boxing Hector Garcia's ears off. But he wound up getting the knockdown. He wound up being definitive in his victory, and he made a deciding factor, right? And everybody was saying, oh man, Hector, he's damaged goods and this and this and that. So it's like, if Shakur Stevenson get all his flack for putting on a boring snooze fest, or not get hit and hit when I can, you know what I'm saying, as long as the points are up. Not one round where either puncher threw double digits. I look at the performance that Regis had and how everybody judged it. Oh man, Regis is this and this and that, man. He should have stopped this dude. I look at the performance that Devin Haney did. Oh man, he should have stopped Lom in a fight where he actually got outlanded except for body work. So I'm trying to gauge and see what is the standard or what do we really want. Because when AJ didn't get the knockout, we shamed him as a community. Everybody shamed him, right? Shakur Stevenson, he don't get a knockout in his most recent fight, but he did against Yoshino. They discounted it when he did it with Yoshino, but then they give him all this flack for this fight. Devin Haney, he hasn't knocked anybody out in about 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? He always get the benefit of that. In this master class, in this, Ryan figured something out. He made an adjustment and ended the show. It's like, what do we want? What do we want as boxing fans? We got to make up our mind, man, because a lot of the time, some of the loudest voices are the most truthful. And that's going to hurt. It's going to sound like hate. You know what I'm saying? You can call it whatever you want. But as boxing fans, we got to make up our mind. You know what I'm saying? Yes, we want the knockout as fans. We do. But really, what it really entails is that if it's so many levels, if there are so many levels, when the elite fight the elite, or when when two fighters get in there, one will actually figure out what the other one is doing, make the adjustments, and get rid of them. A la Anyway, a la Tank, a la Bud, a la Boots. You know what I'm saying? It's another level. It's a different gear. And another one is when the big bright lights are on, we actually show up. And I think that, more so than anything, I don't think Shakur suffers from, being scared of people with a lack of power. I think it got something to do with when them big bright lights come on. And that's just something that as he gets in front and, all that pressure, and he has those kind of opponents like that on that grandiose stage, it's something that he's going to wean out. But I think we got to keep the same energy, man. I think we got to, sit back, look at Derrick James, look at his body of work, and let's be consistent in how we judge these fights. Because when your fighter don't get to stop and it's like, oh man, that was master class, even though they got outlanded. That wasn't master class. But then if something look ugly, if there's ugly spots or things that you can go back to the lab and look at and focus so that you can get your game to another level, but at the end you figure it out, that's what it's all about. Ryan figured him out. But we can't be discrediting opponents and, just taking shots at Derrick James because of the Spence loss. You know what I'm saying? Let's start judging boxing based on what our eyeballs see. Not what the commentators are saying, but what our eyeballs see and the results of the actual bout in the match. So I want to say, Derrick James, man, I see what you're doing out there. We want to see Frank get back in the ring. We want to see Earl get back in the ring. I just say we want to see Jamel get back in the ring and do his thing. But by any means, man, I think Ryan, he's not at the top of the mountaintop. He is developing, and he is coming along, and he shows flashes of brilliance. A fully dedicated, fully healthy Ryan that believes in these techniques, because you saw him implementing what Derrick James did after he stopped doing that funky Philly shell. Self-admittedly, he said, you'll never see that again. I think it was a plus for him. He got back in the win column. Derrick James got back in the win column, and he's still proving that he's dangerous. At any given time, he can actually hurt you. He got some chinks in the armor, but they all have chinks in the armor. It's only a few of them that look like, man, like until this one fight this one, we don't know what will happen. It's only a few, a very select few. So I think we need to, man, give Ryan his credit for getting the job done, seizing the moment under the big bright lights, dealing with all that golden boy stuff, and give Derrick James his, his salutes for what he was able to do and actually retooling Ryan. That was his first fight under Derrick James. And we saw that Jermell Charlo actually went on to become a knockout artist, even though coming from Rodney Shields, crossing over to Derrick James, he was known as a boxer puncher. Now, he's known as a straight knockout artist. Barring the last performance with Canelo, that was something else. But it's just some things we want to consider, man. Derrick James still catches strays. I still see greatness. I still believe in him. And I think he has one of the most brilliant boxing minds in the game. And I think Ryan still has potential. He's not an easy out. Trust me. But anyways, I'd love to get your comments on this, man. Is Derrick James catching strays? Are we being too critical on Ryan Garcia when he showed up and he actually, at the end of the day, he wound up showing out because he figured it out. He grew. He didn't take an L. What do you think? And thanks for everybody that tunes in, man. We're still growing. And I appreciate all the comments, all the likes, all the shares. You know what I'm saying? It's a small channel. And I thank you for everybody who take the time out to watch my videos and chime in. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. You see that I interact with everybody. Thanks for tuning in here at BodyWork Boxing, where we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.